I welcome you all for this presentation. In this presentation, we are going to discuss about intrusion detection. Actually, in the 7th edition of William Stalling's textbook, this intrusion detection is not included. So you please refer 5th edition of William Stalling's Cryptography and Network Security textbook. There in the chapter 20, you can see this intrusion detection. So for this intrusion detection topic alone, you refer 5th edition of William Stalling's textbook. In this presentation, we are going to discuss about intruders, then intrusion detection, then hackers, criminal enterprise, insider attacks, some of the intrusion detection techniques, then approaches to intrusion detection, honeypots, followed by summary of this presentation. In the network, we are having some issues like unwanted access and all, and many attackers, they are voluntarily, willingly or not, for some fun purpose or some they have some thing like if they want to destroy the company or they have to give black mark to the company organization. In such cases, attackers or intruders are taking all the information from the organization. That is, they are giving some entry in an unwanted way. That is unauthorized access or unwanted access or hostile access. Those only we are calling it as those person who is performing this unwanted access only we are calling it as intruders or attackers. Like that we are giving some names, and here we can classify the intruders into different categories. That is, the intruder may be within the organization or outside the organization. We can't tell because sometimes the organization is not giving some thing to the particular person, or the institute is not faming some person. In such cases, they try to show their vengeance by taking some of the useful information from the institution or organization by giving some unwanted entry to the systems or servers like that, and they take some confidential information and they sell it to the opposite party, or they publish or they sell for some other purpose. All those things, many things happen. So intruders may be of outsiders as well as insiders as well. So the classes or categories of intruders include masquerader, then misfeaser and clandestine user. Masquerader means an individual who is not authorized to use the computer and who penetrates the system's access controls to exploit a illegitimate user's account. Here this masquerader is an outsider because he is not having an authorized entry to the computer. So he is from the outside, not working in the particular institution or in an organization. He is from the intruder is from the from outside. So he is not having he or she is not having the authorized use to access the computer, and intruder is performing some unwanted access and exploiting all the legitimate users account. So masquerader is an outsider. Another category of intruder is misfeaser. Misfeaser means a legitimate user who accesses data. Say for example, in the institute, say in our college also, the faculty members are there, students are there, administrative staff are there, and whoever is scientific officer is there, whoever is holding all the contents or confidential informations and all. Nowadays everything is digitized, so if you enter into the system, we can get all the information. Before the release of your result, if you want to take the result, means we have to give unwanted entry to the system where the server, where the result server, where the data is stored, and we have to change everything. So in such a case, as a student is entering in the server, or unwantedly entering into the server, or any faculty member is unwantedly entering into the server, because the faculty members is not having the access for the whole system. They can edit their own subjects alone, not for the full subjects. So they are also not authorized person to access all the data. So, but the student or faculty member or a legitimate user for this organization, but they are not having the authorized access to some things. So if they are unwantedly accessing those not authorized thing, in such cases they are the misuser. So the misusers or the insiders, inside intruder is called as misuser. That is a legitimate user who accesses data, programs or resources for which such access is not authorized, or who is authorized for such access but misuses his or her privileges, because privilege is not given to all the faculty members or the students to access the result database or result server. Likewise, they are not having all the privileges. Only the admin is having the privilege to access the full data. But if we are unwantedly entering into that server, in such case we are calling it as a misuser and we are the intruder. Inside intruder is called as misuser. Another type of intruder is clandestine user. That is an individual who seizes supervisory control of the system and uses this control to evade auditing and access controls or to suppress audit collection. So this clandestine user may be either an insider or an outsider. So the level of competence for these intruders may vary. Different levels are there, and each and every intruder's level may vary to access the resources of any organization or the institution. So examples of intrusion include remote root compromise, then web server defacement, then guessing or cracking passwords. Sometimes we can easily guess or crack passwords. Some we can easily crack our friend's password and all. We know which is their favorite number or a favorite person. Based on that, they used to keep some passwords, so we easily crack or guess the friends or parents' passwords and all. So such things we can do, and sometimes they are also keep in a different way, means it is not possible, but we can mostly friends, neighbors passwords and all easily we can guess. And many methodologies are there to crack passwords also. Copying or weaving sensitive data or databases. So if we are near to our friend system, we just we can while speaking itself, while communicating itself, we can just see what he or she is typing, and at that time also we can collect the sensitive data of our Gmail password or something like that. Then running a packet sniffer. So in systems or in mobiles, nowadays many malwares are available. So if they run a packet sniffer and they collect the detail, means also it's also a type of intrusion. Then distributing pirated software using an unsecured modem to access the network. So sometimes we try to do such type of things. If we set an unsecured modem and we try to access the connection of others, and if in Wi-Fi and all, if somebody is not giving a password for their connection, means we can access it. So this is also a type of intrusion only. And impersonating a user to reset a password using an unattended workstation, all those things are types of intrusion. So how to detect all these intrusions, that only we are going to discuss in this presentation. So intrusion detection, that is inevitably will have security failures. Whether we are allowing everyone to get inside the system and you access everything, likewise we are giving, no, not like that. We are having a firewall, we are having many security measures. In spite of all the security measures, intruders are they are working in a very intelligent way, and they are coming inside the system and they are doing some unwanted access and all. So many security things are there, but in spite of all the security measures, there may be some failures in the security also. So only this intrusion detection is very much needed to have, or we have to set in between the network as well as the edge router. We have to fix any intrusion detection system, and if any attack traffic is coming into the system, we have to block there itself. So many techniques are available. So in order to overcome all the security failures, we have to detect the intrusion so we can block if detected quickly, act as a deterrent, then collect information to improve the security. So for these three reasons we are having the intrusion detection. we are assuming the intruder will behave differently to a legitimate user. Actually, the intruder won't tell I am an intruder. Yes, you open everything and give it like that. They are not asking. They come and access everything as a legitimate user only. Some different things they used to follow, but they come and act as a legitimate user only. So in order to detect the intrusion, it is very difficult because the behavior is similar to that of a normal only, but it is a intrusion. So, but we'll have imperfect distinction between them. But but we can easily categorize it. But there is some delta difference only between an attack as well as the normal. So we are having a distinction between intrusion detection versus extrusion detection. What is intrusion detection and extrusion detection? We know what is the intrusion detection is mostly concerned about the identification of incoming attacks. That is, what are the intrusion attempts coming in that we have to detect. Extrusion detection systems try to prevent the attacks from being launched at that place. That is extrusion detection. So the prevention technique only we are calling it as a extrusion detection. Now we're coming into the hackers. They are motivated. Mostly hackers are motivated by thrill of access and status. Mostly hackers do for fun only. Some hackers only do for some financial benefits like that. Others sometimes hackers are doing many tasks for just for fun. So hacking community, it is a strong meritocracy. Status is determined by the level of competence. So these hackers also, whether they are fully destroying system or they are giving some minor loss to the system. So different levels of competence are there. We can categorize the hackers based on that. So benign intruders might be tolerable because some performance degradation if the hacker is giving, then it's tolerable. If they are totally disrupting the system, at such cases we can't tolerate. So do consume resources and may slow performance. Benign intruders, what they are doing is they are consuming the resources and they are making the performance of this network slow. So cannot know in advance whether it is a benign or malignant. But we don't know whether this intruder is a intruder or malignant. We don't know. But the benign category only evolved to a malignant category. So we are having this intrusion detection system, then intrusion prevention system, then virtual private networks. That is, VPN can help to counter all these things. And we are having awareness that led to the establishment of CERTS. It is a national cyber security agency. That is, it is a agency, that is, it is a team, emergency response team, computer emergency response team. They collect and disseminate the vulnerability or information or the responses. So they are giving awareness to each and every individuals. And if we found that any hacker, we can inform to the CERT also so that they will take some actions. These are some of the hacker behavior example, that is select target using IP lookup tools, then they map network for accessible services, then they identify potentially vulnerable services, then they brute forcefully guess the passwords or install remote administration tool or wait for admin to log on and capture the password, because they try whether how is, the admin is entering. If some near system they are sitting means they can just look like this and they can easily find out to find out the password what the admin is typing. Nowadays many tools also there, what they are typing while entering, what they are typing. Likewise we can easily find out using some tools. Use password to access reminder of the network. So these are some of the hacker behaviors. Next is criminal enterprise. They are organized groups of hackers, now a threat. It is a threat. That is, it is a corporation, government or loosely affiliated gangs, typically young ones only, criminal enterprise. Often Eastern European or Russian hackers are there, often target credit cards on e-customer server. Nowadays we know many private banks are also providing credit cards in a frequent manner, and many attackers are also coming in to target those persons easily. They have to take the amount from the accounts and all. So mostly they are targeting the credit cards and all. The criminal hackers usually have specific targets. Once they penetrated, they act quickly and get out. IDS, IPS help, but they are less effective. We need some sensitive data, needs to have some strong protection. So we have to design an IDS or IPS in such a way that if the IDS is giving an alarm in a quick manner, then we can easily capture the criminals or the hackers who is entering into the system. These are some of the criminal enterprise behavior. They act quickly and precisely to make their activities harder to detect, exploit perimeter via vulnerable ports. They use Trojan horses, that is some hidden software, to leave backdoors for re-entry, use sniffers to capture password, do not stick around until noticed, make few or no mistakes. Mostly the robbers won't left any mistakes, but unfortunately they leave some mistakes. Likewise, this criminal enterprises also, they make few or no mistakes. Next is insider attacks. They are amongst the most difficult to detect and prevent this type of attacks. They are employees because inside the organization they are sitting and doing some criminal activities. So we can't easily detect them because we can't easily find whoever is sitting near to us only doing such activities. So the employees of the organization only mostly do this thing. So but it is difficult to, so only it is difficult to detect and prevent. Employees have access and systems knowledge, may be motivated by revenge or entitlement when employment terminated. In such cases, suppose they are fired from their employment. In some cases, such cases only, they used to hack the institute's systems and all, taking customer data when moved to competitor. The IDS and IPS may help, but also need some least privilege, monitor log, strong authentication, termination process to block access and mirror data. So the organizations must follow something. In addition to the IDS and IPS, they have to follow something like for all the employees they give some least privilege only. Then anyway, if they are giving privileges means also they used to frequently monitor what they are doing, their logs and all they have to frequently monitor. In such cases we can easily avoid this insider attacks. The insider attack behavior examples include they create network accounts for themselves and their friends. They access accounts and applications they would not normally use for their daily jobs. Email, former email address they used to keep and prospect the employer's address. Conduct furtive instant messaging chats. Visit websites that cater to disgruntled employees such as ftcompany.com. Perform large downloads and file copying. Access the network during half hours. So how we have to find the insider means in the working hours you don't use the network and all. In the night times or late nights and all they used to access the system and try to take all those things. So mostly the insider behavior is like that, they access the network during half hours. Nobody is using the system at such times only. They used to do all these criminal activities. Next is intrusion techniques. That is the main aim of this technique is to gain access or to increase privileges on a system. Often we are using the system software vulnerabilities. The main goal is to acquire the passwords. So we have to exercise the access rights of the owner. Basic attack methodology. This is not intrusion detection techniques. It is an intrusion technique. How they are intruders are intruding. That technique only. So they are target the acquisition and information gathering they used to do. First step is scanning only. They are just collecting the information, then only they are attacking. So target acquisition and information gathering, then initial access, then privilege escalation, then only covering the track. So these are some of the intrusion techniques. Then password guessing, this is the most common attacks. Mostly this password guessing, because somebody gets the account of the email, they can send any type of mails showing that I am the authorized person likewise. So the password guessing is the most commonly occurring attacks. So attackers knows a login from email or web page etc. Then attempts to guess the password for it. Default short passwords, common word searches. How they are finding or guessing the password means using some short passwords. For example, in our institute, IITU123 or IITU123. Mostly these small passwords we can easily guess. Somebody is keeping this password means. Then using the birthday, then phone number, common words of interest, then exhaustively search all possible passwords. These are some way to guess the password. Then by login or again stolen password file, then the success depends on password chosen by the user. Survey shows many users choose poorly the password only, because while entering into the system or while creating the password, at that time there we are getting whether it is a strong password or medium password or poor password. Likewise we are getting the that red line, green line and all we are getting. So based on that, always we have to set a password that won't be guessed by even our parents or friends or relatives. Like that we have to set a password always. Next is the password capture. Another attacks involve the password capture, that is watching over shoulder as password is entered. So if we are standing in a line in an ATM, at that time if somebody is standing behind and they used to they just watching just above the shoulder and looking in what we are typing in, and afterwards the attacker is following us and is trying to get the ATM card. Then nowadays many mechanisms the bank is following, but beyond 10,000 rupees means they are sending the one time password and all, but below means directly we can, whoever is getting the card as well as the pin number, they can directly get the amount. So around less than 10,000 the attacker can take the amount. So this is one way of password capture. Then we can use a Trojan horse program to collect the password also. Then monitoring an insecure network logging like Telnet, FTP, Web, email, and if you are going in some browsing centers or some public places and there we are logging in, and sometimes we forget to log out, and sometimes we are getting a pop-up message like save the password and we are clicking save. Always we have to click never, but sometimes unfortunately we are saying clicking as save. In such cases what happens, the attacker can easily get all the records. So this is about the password capture. So we always, all time we must be very careful in using the systems, or while logging into the systems or using the ATM cards and all. We are net banking and all, we are very careful enough to be that password must not be shown to others. Then approaches to intrusion detection include statistical anomaly detection and rule-based detection. Statistical anomaly detection, it attempts to define normal or expected behavior, and this is based on threshold based statistical anomaly detection and profile based statistical anomaly detection. And this rule based detection attempts to define the proper behavior, that is based on some category or patterns of the attack. We are generating a rule, and based on the pattern only we are detecting the intrusions. One thing as fundamental tool for this intrusion detection is audit records. That is, we are having the native audit records as well as detection specific audit records. Native audit records means it is part of all common multi-user operating system. Already it is presently in use, may not have information wanted in a desired manner. That is the native audit records. Detection specific audit records means it is created specifically to collect unwanted information at cost of additional overhead on the system. Then how to analyze the audit record? It is one of the foundation of the statistical approaches. That is, we are analyzing the records to get metrics over time like counter, then gauge, interval timer, then resource use, and we are performing various steps on these to determine if the current behavior is acceptable or not. That is this audit record analysis is a statistical approach. So here how we are testing is based on the mean value or the standard deviation value, or we are performing some multivariate correlation analysis, or we are applying some Markov process or time series or operational process we are applying in, and we are testing that whether this current behavior is acceptable or not. And the key advantage of this audit record analysis is no prior knowledge is used in this analysis process. Next is the statistical anomaly detection. Already we have seen that the statistical anomaly detection is categorized into threshold based as well as profile based detection. The threshold based detection, we are counting the occurrences of specific event over a time, and if it exceeds reasonable value, then we are assuming it is intrusion. Alone it is a crude behavior and it is a ineffective detector. If you are just using only threshold alone, it is not effective detector. Next is the profile based detection, that is we are characterizing based on the past behavior of users. Say for example, here we are using only we are using the normal traffic alone, and we are constructing a model, and if that is going beyond, if any new record coming in and it goes beyond that, means it deviates from that, means we are calling it as an attack, and within it means we are calling it as a normal and all. So it detects significant deviations from this, and it is a profile based, is usually a multi parameter here. So basically the profile based detection method and the threshold based detection method usually uses only the normal traffic records, and beyond that if the record value goes beyond or the one threshold, we are fixing it, and the value of the new record is going beyond the threshold, means we are telling it as an attack in the threshold based detection. And in the profile based detection also we are characterizing based on the past behavior only. In the rule-based intrusion detection, we are observing the events on the system and applying rules to decide if activity is suspicious or not. We already discussed that. The rule-based, based on the data, we are extracting the rule, and based on the rule, if for any new record, we are just predicting based on the rule. So the steps involved in this rule-based anomaly detection involve, we are analyzing the historical audit records to identify usage patterns and auto-generate rules for them. So based on the existing data only, and based on the attack patterns, we are generating the rules, and based on the rules only, we are just predicting. Then observe the current behavior and match against the rules to see if confirms. Like statistical anomaly detection does not require prior knowledge of security flaws. And another thing is rule-based penetration identification. It uses the expert systems technology, that is with rules we are identifying the known penetration, then weaknesses in the patterns or the suspicious behavior of the network. Then we are comparing the audit records or states against the rules, because it is a rule-based penetration identification, and these rules are usually generated using machine or operating system specific rules. And another way of generating the rules is by means of experts who interview and codify the knowledge of the security admins. The quality of this rule-based penetration identification depends on how well this approach is done. Based on that only we can predict the quality of this methodology. Next is honeypots, from the name honey, So this honeypot decoy systems to lure attackers. So we have, this is one method of finding the intrusion, that is detecting the intrusion. That is honeypot means we are just keeping a pot with a honey, and what we are doing is some insects are coming in. See, honey is there, so we come at that time. The insects sit in the honeypot. We just close it and catch it. Likewise, here also we are we are giving some decoy systems to lure the attackers that okay, everything is opened. This system is vulnerable, so we can easily exploit everything. Likewise, we are just giving a loophole for the attacker, and once the attacker enters into the system, we just catching the attacker. This is the honeypot. So it is away from accessing the critical systems to collect information of their activities and to encourage attacker to stay on system, so administrator can respond. These honeypots are filled with fabricated information. That is fabricated information in the sense, by the attacker, by looking into the system, the attacker may feel that this system is vulnerable to attack and we can easily exploit. So by having this in the mindset, an attacker will boldly entering into the system. But unfortunately, the attacker is locked by the administrator. So it is instrumented to collect detailed information on attackers' activities. This can be a single or multiple network system. This honeypots are a single or multiple network system. This is honeypots are also used mostly to detect the intrusions. So in this presentation, we have discussed about the intruders, then the behavior of the intruders, then intrusion detection, difference between intrusion detection as well as extrusion detection, then hackers, then criminal enterprise, insider attacks, what are the intrusion techniques available and approaches to detect the intrusion detection. Finally, we discussed about honeypots. This intrusion detection, you please refer chapter 20 of William Stallings textbook, edition 5, 5th edition. You have to refer. In the 7th edition, it is not included. So this part 6 of your syllabus is over. You please go through that chapter for more details about intrusion detection. Thank you.